So you've decided to start oil painting, but you're looking for the right supplies to get. Obviously, with all the options available, it can be kind of overwhelming, and it can also be pretty expensive. But the thing is, you'd be right in investing in good quality materials. So what you need to do is avoid wasting money on unnecessary oil painting gear. And this is what I want to do today. I want to make a watch before you buy kind of video so that you don't waste your money. And hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and save your money only for the best brushes, paint, canvas quality that you can find. Every time I'm going to give you something that I regret buying, I'm going to give you something that would have been a much better choice. So the first thing that I regret buying is the hue pigments, so imitations. For example, this cadmium yellow hue is not an actual cadmium, it's a substitute. And this one, sometimes labeled genuine, is much more expensive. They're not exactly the same shade here in this case, but I can tell you that this cadmium yellow performs really much better. So you get what you pay for in terms of paint. Overall, I'm never the type of person to consider that you should only buy the most expensive paints. Look carefully at the composition of your paint tubes. In this case, it's PY3, so this is Hansa yellow, and PY83, this is Diarlide yellow. And both of these pigments are decent yellows, don't get me wrong, they can work. So obviously there are ways to do without cadmium yellow if you don't need cadmium yellow. For example, if you only want to paint, skin tones, in this case, a very bright, super chromatic cadmium yellow like that might be overkill. And you might be much better off with some type of yellow ochre. But if it's a bright chromatic yellow that you're interested in that case, then obviously the cadmium yellow is going to outperform any type of substitute. In the end, if you buy a substitute, you might not use that much of it if a bright, chromatic, very powerful color is what you're looking for. And you might replace it with a more reliable option pretty soon and waste a lot of it. So ultimately, you might not end up saving money over the long run. And by the way, if you're looking for a good supply list, you can go on my website. I have resources for artists with a list of materials. And if you want to get into oil painting more in depth, I also have my oil painting course that you can check out. As always, link is in the description. Number 2, these little palette. They are useful for gouache, for watercolor, but really for oil painting, don't bother buying these. They are kind of useless. While I'm at it, I'm gonna mention number 3 because it's almost the same. I don't have any more here because it's disposable. The disposable palette that you peel off every time. For example, if you get something like that, a tear-off palette, disposable palette like that, you're not gonna get a lot of use out of it before it's all gone. If you paint a lot, it's really going to be a waste of your money. You're much better getting an actual palette. An arm palette like that would be great, even though this is not what I recommend. In my opinion, the better alternative is to get what I have here. What I recommend instead is to have a piece of glass that you put on a table, and it's really great because it's super easy to clean just with a palette knife. And then you can simply scrub it in. If needed, you can spray a little bit of window cleaner and there you go, like perfectly clean every time. Next on my list is these brush holders or brush drying racks. I don't know what they are called, with the little spring here. See, the idea is that you can put your brushes in there without to have the tip of the brush touching the bottom of the jar. You can just pour whatever solvent you want and it keeps your brushes clean, wet, without touching the bottom. Also, the fact that the brush has its head downwards, it prevents liquid from infiltrating the ferrule and damaging the brushes from the inside. And indeed, when the brushes are wet, it's a good idea to have them face down. But the only thing is that this thing is not super practical for oil painting. I think it's mostly for watercolor again. And for oil paint, generally you have a lot more brushes than that. They end up being all over the place. This thing gets easily crowded and it gets more messy than you think to take it off What I recommend is actually something you can do yourself. It's a little brush rack like that. Just rest your brushes when you're not using them, and it's slightly inclined in this direction. There is a slight tilt. This angle is going to prevent the oil from sinking into the ferrule and damaging and splaining the hairs. So this is the entire thing here. As you can see, I've made it at a slight angle like that. And I've used the bottom part to store my paint tubes, so that's pretty neat. All the separators here, I've just created with a little blob of hot glue to make separations. Pretty easy, and you can do it at home for almost no money. Next in my list of pretty unnecessary materials for artists are these, the mannequins. The wooden mannequins like that. Save your money on that and either invest in a good camera to make photos yourselves, or to buy photos of models that you can find online, buy the copyrights and use those. It's going to be much better if you're interested in figure drawing, because this is really never going to give you accurate human form to use in your art. Next thing that I regret buying is something that I can't show you because it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. These are poorly made palette knives. Let me show you. When you get a palette knife, some of them are one single piece of metal here that's just flattened, and some of them have a soldering bit. So basically this would be attached here, soldered. Here I don't even have the rest of the palette knife anymore because it just snapped off. If you get a palette knife that's one single piece of metal, it's going to last a lot longer and it's going to just be more flexible. And trust me, with the amount of force that you exert on these, you don't want them to snap off on you. It's not a good experience. One more thing you can save your money on are those green diluents for paint that are most of the time citrus based, that are, you know, non-toxic solvents to replace mineral spirits or turpentine. If you intend to use these to paint with as a sort of a painting medium, really save your money on these. And in my opinion, even if you intend on just using them to clean your brushes, I mean, they're really not worth it. You can clean your brushes with soap and water, so it's solvent free as well. Or you can clean and rinse off the pigments with oil, something like safflower oil. This would be a much better choice. I don't know, I've never been really a fan of these citrus-based thinners, like solvent-free paint thinners. I've never really found them super useful. If they work for you, just go ahead, but I think there are better options. And this wouldn't be a very usable painting medium either. It's not also something that I would recommend to create painting mediums from, because in my opinion, it's not reliable enough. And final thing that I think you can save your money on is ready-made painting mediums. Not that they're bad, if they work for you, fine, but I think that for the amount that you pay for, you're not going to get the most out of your painting medium. I think you might get a much better understanding of how painting works by creating your own medium. I think that when you create your own medium, you really look for certain properties in the ingredients that you use, and you really control the consistency and the feeling of your paint. Another cool thing if you make your own medium is that you can make several bottles, and this makes it much easier to follow the fat over lean rule. It's going to make your life much easier, and your understanding of painting is going to be much better. So there you go, these are my tips on what you can save your money on if you want to invest in high quality oil painting products and materials. Tell me, what oil painting materials, what's your biggest waste of money? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright my friends, I'll see you for the next one. Take care, and as always, joy and inspiration to you. Bye.